Hello and welcome back once again to the HR Social Hour Half Hour Podcast. This is episode 83. John and Wendy talk to John Friend. I'm your host, John.
And I'm Wendy. John, we're in Grand Forks.
We are. First off, we want to thank Balance Track for sponsoring this episode. This is our last episode for the month with Balance Track. But
thank you, Balance Track.
Thank you so much, Manoj and Carla, everybody with the Balance Track team. We will have had a great chat by the time this episode comes out with them. Just really appreciate their interest in taking part with us. Certainly hope if you haven't checked them out that you will. And thank them again. Yes, this is a lot of fun. This is a little different for us because we are at a conference with just the mic. Not our setup. We didn't have any real plans for this particular conference, but we've had such a great time. And John was kind enough to bring us out for the event that we thought, hey, we have some time. We're together. Let's put a show together.
Yeah.
So here we are. How's the conference been for you, Wendy?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a long time since I've been to Grand Forks. I don't want to say how many years it's probably been, but it was been nice to come up here, join the area. Had a chance to have dinner with an ex-boss, which how often does that happen? And also hanging out with the North Dakota folks. They put on a good conference. They're great people. You're going to see them out and about a lot. Especially at National Conference. North Dakota has a really good showing at National, so if you are at National at some point, look for the North Dakota folks. They are the ones probably with a beer in hand, but they're good people. Great conference. I really enjoyed Kate's presentation this morning, even though we were up at 6:45 a.m. Learning about learning about marijuana. So that's always fun. How about you?
This is great because this is my first trip to North Dakota at all. Now I can safely say I've spoken in both the Dakotas in the last 2 years.
Yep.
Everybody's been so welcoming and accommodating, and it's quite nice. The weather's been beautiful, and I've had a chance to kind of see the scenery in the evenings and get out and see the town a little bit. It's been really great to see John Baldino and Aaron Stevens, Tiffany Keel, Kate Bischoff, all these folks that we know kind of out there, and reconnect with some people here like Stephanie Winterquist, people that are local. So it's been a lot of fun, and it's been a great time. So we're excited to be here, and again, we're really excited for the guests that we have.
Yep.
I'm going to stop gushing so that you can make the introduction and get started.
So I've known John for a few years. We met at National Conference. Actually, we probably met at the Brookings, South Dakota Conference a few years ago. Got connected at National. And John was kind enough to answer a text at the last minute and show up. So I don't even have a bio for him. So I will let John do a short introduction of himself. And include in your introduction of yourself, John, what's in your glass?
That's a trick question since it's only 11 a.m. already. So I get it is 5 o'clock somewhere, but it's only 11 a.m. during a conference here. I've been in North Dakota my whole life. What's in my glass? It's a mellow yellow in a bottle today, so that's what we're starting with, getting a little caffeinated so we can make it through the rest of this conference.
There we go.
Currently working in the manufacturing industry, almost right across the road over here, PS Industries. Been there for just over 3 years and was in another manufacturing facility for just over 5 years, commuting back and forth to Fargo. So I really enjoy the manufacturing industry.
Awesome.
Well, John, we know what you're doing now with PS Industries. How exactly did you get your start in human resources?
It's one of those stories that everybody's probably said a long time ago. My first degree was an associate's degree in accounting. And as you've all met me before, I was probably kind of like that as an accountant as well. And instead of sending people an email or calling them up and saying, hey, what's this invoice? I would actually go over to their office or their cubicle, whatever they had, and maybe ask them how their weekend was, or how was soccer this weekend with the kids, and then ask them about the invoice. It's building those connections internally, just like we like to do externally. And the HR person that was working there wasn't working out, and I got called into the office. Now, mind you, this is a psychiatric hospital. Okay. What I do need to say is I was getting a paycheck and not a bill. I know some people are thinking I was getting a bill there. I get that. But I was getting a paycheck. Still haven't paid the bill. And I got called into the CEO's office. And to get called in there is never good because I've never been called in there.
Right.
Now, mind you, their psychiatric hospital, and she was a psychiatrist. So you walk into the room, they're like 20 feet away, dimly lit room with a little lamp on the desk. It's true. That's what they have. And I'm on a couch similar to what I'm sitting on here right now, and sitting there going, I'm getting fired. I'm getting let go. And the first sentence that comes out of her mouth says, people really like you. It's not what I thought was going to happen in here at all. And they said, how would you like to work in HR? Okay. We'll give you $7,000 more per year. I am in. Welcome to the world of HR, John. And that's how... So maybe not the typical answer you probably get, but some people say, well, I started here and moved on to that.
I think it's safe to say, John, that we've never had somebody get cash attachment to what it means to move from your current role into human resources.
Right?
And back in about 2003, $7,000 was a lot more.
That's a lot more right now.
Yes. Yeah.
I wouldn't be turning that down for sure. No. And I'm going to guess that this is our first guest who started in a psychiatric hospital.
I think so, yes.
With a paycheck.
With a paycheck.
I think that's safe to say.
Yeah, paying the bill later. That always counts.
Still in collections.
So, John, you and I work in similar locations, North Dakota, South Dakota, population-wise. And especially manufacturing, because I work with a lot of folks, or know a lot of people that also do manufacturing in South Dakota. Let's talk a little bit about the challenges that you face with HR, with recruiting, all of that in a place like North Dakota.
Recruiting is a challenge here for the fact of the unemployment rate is so low.
Yeah.
It's hovered above and below the 2% consistently. And unfortunately, there's a lot of unemployables within those percentages.
Right.
So now you're looking to steal from other companies is kind of what you end up having to do. But you don't want to be that headhunter. You don't want to do that. You don't want to have that reputation in town. So you're just out networking with people, talking with people, asking your employees to go out there, word of mouth. I mean, sometimes that's the best thing to do. We put a job board thing on the outside of our building now. That everybody's starting to notice throughout the community. You could probably see it from here if we got on the roof of the Alaris Center. We could actually see it from here. And my picture's on there too, so that's fun as well.
Oh, nice.
But that's the biggest challenge because you just can't find those people. And now our building's going to be expanding. We're increasing the staff that we have, and it's like we're having trouble finding some of these people already. It's the skilled ones like welders tend to be a real difficult one. But then evening shifts. We don't have a night shift. We just started an evening shift, which if they're full-time, they can start at 11:30 a.m., work till 10, or if they're part-time, they can start at 5 or 6 and work till 10 p.m. That's the latest we work. So we like to call it more of an evening shift instead of overnights or night shift and stuff like that. That's the biggest challenge right now is finding those qualified ones. So what's worked out well for part-time staff is getting UND students. Because they don't have to work Monday through Friday. They don't have to do this. If they can come in Monday and Thursday, we'll take them, and it works out well for the schedules. And those are some of the best workers we've ever had. They run circles around some of the full-timers sometimes, just doing basic manufacturing stuff. I have all 4 of my children on the payroll.
Yeah, nice.
Because I know they're going to show up.
Right, right. So do you see any carryover from those UND students? Do they stick around? Like in Brookings, we have Daktronics, which they have a big student population. Obviously, we have a big student population with SDSU, and they've been able to turn that into, here's your stepping stones. They can show the students, you start on the manufacturing floor, but here's all the different ways you can go. Do you guys do anything like that?
Yes.
Okay.
There's some that want to come in there have their foot in the door.
Right.
They will say that because they're going to school for engineering or drafting and design. So, or maybe it's IT, computer science. It could be any of those. We do have 4 or 5 interns currently right now on staff. 1 in HR.
Yay.
Yes. So they bought into that when I started 3 years ago. Let's get an intern and see what we can get out of this. And in the last couple of years, we've brought in IT, we've brought in design and drafting, engineering, and it works out well because we can build them and hopefully keep them long term.
So, John, as we talked about, we're actually recording. I always say live, even though I know it's not live when people hear it. I'll say live on tape. But we're here together in the Canad Inn. Canad Inn. Yes, sitting in the Canad Inn, recording this for the state conference. And I know you've been active in North Dakota SHRM for some time. And I know part of the reason that Wendy and I are here is that you were really wanted to show off your hometown, not only to us, but to have folks in, because it's the first time that Grand Forks has hosted the conference in some time. Can you talk about some of the challenges that you've had putting together a conference of this scale in your hometown?
Absolutely. The venue itself is different. You get different people you're working with, from the hotel staff to the caterers to the vendor hall. It's a little bit of everything. That's some of your challenge. It's reconnecting with some of those other businesses out there that were sponsors in the past. Grand Forks, maybe they don't do business here, but then also opens up the door for people that have never been a part of it locally here, and they've come out here now. I just got a comment from somebody there. She says, "Thank you so much for inviting us." It was just a random conversation. I said, "Hey, we're trying to show off the town here. It's a beautiful facility," and that's been the biggest challenge. The other biggest challenge is getting the speakers too at the same time. That's always been a big challenge. We had a few drop off after we've already had them into the schedule, and budgets are getting done, and all of a sudden we're scrambling to find speakers. And you got to adjust your schedule, you got to adjust the app, you got to adjust everything that's being printed for signs. So. Yeah. Honestly, those have been the biggest challenges, and mostly behind the scenes, because I don't think a lot of people are noticing everything that's going on right now.
We certainly didn't.
I know.
We thought it was kind of entertaining to hear about the keynote this morning. Dr. Gary Bratt,
yeah.
Thank you. Yes, had trouble getting here and drove, and it sounded like he had quite the misadventures. I think that's on somebody's airline end.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, it's interesting, and again, like I said, first time having come to something, we certainly don't see those things. Everything seems to be running, and everybody I've met seems very happy about kind of where it is. I haven't heard any grousing like I hear at other events.
Right.
So kudos to you for keeping it together and making sure it stays behind the scenes. Because I know
we try.
I think all of us have been part of state councils at least at some point in our careers, and so I think we all know what it takes to do a conference like this. And I'm always amazed, especially from the standpoint that we do these as volunteers. It's a whole nother job, and I don't think sometimes people necessarily understand the magnitude of the work. And
and to go off that just a little bit, for the past 5 years or so, we've held a joint conference with the Department of Commerce, the state one, and they decided that they didn't want to continue that for this particular conference. And they put a lot of time, effort, and everything. That was their job.
Sure.
So us as volunteers had a lot taken off our plate. And about November, December last year, it all got thrown back on our plates. And so we've been scrambling for a while. Like, what are we missing? What have we missed? I still don't know. We're still wondering if there's something else that we've missed. We're not sure yet. But there hasn't been anything too drastic so far. And just like you're talking about with Dr. Gary Bratt there, driving all night just to get here. I've been tweeting that. I said #dedication. That he's taking it seriously. He could have just said, "No, I can't make it. That's too much for me," which would have been unfortunate for us.
Sure.
But he still did it. So kudos to him for that.
Yeah, and it's again, we have similar things being South Dakota, where if we have the conference anywhere other than Sioux Falls, there's going to be challenges in getting people there.
Well, I've been to a few of the South Dakota conferences in Deadwood. I think there was one. I thought that was interesting. I had to speak at that one.
Did you?
I did.
Oh.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah, that was.
But that's a jaunt.
Yes.
Yes, the states are connected, but east end of one state to the west end of the other state is not fun.
No, well, it's even in South Dakota. That's not always. It's like, yay, we're going to Deadwood, and there's nothing in between. Unless you want to go to Wall Drug and have some free ice water.
Who doesn't like a good free ice water?
They do have good donuts, though. But you have to go off the beaten path a bit. Anyway, so you've been involved in SHRM. How long have you been with SHRM and North Dakota SHRM?
Let's see. So I started the HR back in 2003. Got into the local chapter because that's where I wanted to learn.
Yeah.
That's where I started learning my networking. And they found out I had an accounting degree. Do you want to be the treasurer? First meeting. Okay. It's a spreadsheet. Yes, I can do that. That kind of pushed me onto the councils right there. So it's been since at least 2005.
Oh, wow.
But been, a part of that group. But, the North Dakota SHRM has been probably 10 years.
Okay.
Give or take.
Okay. And I know you've been going to national conference for a long time. About how many years have you been doing that?
Ooh, see, number. See,
I know. You're an accountant, though.
I gave that up. I gave that up with the psych hospital thing. It took it all away from me. 7 years with maybe one I missed in the middle.
Okay. Any memories from National that you can share?
I've been trying to think about that, and quite honestly, it's what we're doing here right now.
Yeah.
Sitting here with John and sitting here with Wendy. See, I feel funny saying sitting here with John. It's like I'm sitting with John Thurman, not John. Psych hospital thing. John, hey John, how are you? I'm talking to myself here. But
we'll throw John Baldino in, and then we'll really get confused.
If you weren't going to those conferences and I wasn't going to those conferences, you wouldn't be here today.
Right.
The exact names that you stated earlier, from Kate Bischoff to Tiffany Keel, Aaron Stevens, John Baldino, those are perfect examples on building up those relationships. And it's more than just, hey, come to the conference and that's it.
Yeah.
It's creating our own hashtag, John.
That's right.
I think you should talk about that because I think it's fun.
I think absolutely. So, Mr. Friend, the other John, you're struggling with it too. No, he has a really interesting hobby, and that is trading college shirts. And so we talked about this back at National in Vegas, and he said, let's trade shirts. And I said, well, do you want a shirt from where I live or where I went to school? So they're two very different locations.
Yes.
And so I traipsed around the city of Richmond looking for a Virginia Commonwealth shirt. And because I found two, I also picked up one for Wendy's husband because he spent time there. And so we started HRT Swap.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
And that's something that I know, John, you've traded shirts with several people because I know I've seen some pictures of you and of them wearing the gear that you've sent them over the years. And
correct.
It's one of those fun things, again, that comes out of these events, spending that time and saying, hey, what about this, or what can we do?
And not to say it in a weird creeper type way, but you're going to wear that shirt, and what are you going to think of? John Friend.
In my time,
you are welcome.
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually thinking that at some point when SDSU and UND are playing, we might have to do a shirt swap.
I do have an SDSU shirt.
I figure you probably did. That would be.
My brother lives in South Dakota, so.
Okay. I figured that would be an easy one, but it might be fun to have us wearing opposite colors at a game. Now, if you're at UND,
just to confuse people. I'm all in on that too.
NDSU I don't think I could go home if I wore NDSU stuff, but you're probably in the same boat there.
And, sorry.
Sorry, Bison. Not sorry.
Bison just to make him mad.
Right.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. This episode of the HR Social Hour Half Hour Podcast is brought to you by Balance Track, the talent acquisition system of choice for federal contractors and companies in the manufacturing, transportation, and franchise industries. Balance Track has helped companies across the nation hire smarter and hire better. Balance Track is built and backed by Berkshire Associates, a company where HR people and technology people work together to build easy-to-use HR solutions. Balance Track is the latest innovation. Better pricing, better implementation, and better results for your recruiting. Right now, listeners can schedule a personal demo of Balance Track at balancetrack.com/social. Again, go to balancetrack.com/social to schedule your demonstration today. Thanks again to Balance Track for sponsoring the HR Social Hour Half Hour Podcast. Now back to the show.
All right, and we are back. Thank you again to Balance Track for your sponsorship this month. But John Friend, it is now time for everyone's favorite part of our show, the half-hour question connection. So, who was your first professional mentor, and what was the most important or impactful thing you learned from them?
I'm going to have to go with one that's probably going to hit a lot of people that know this person. It was Sharon Connell, who's no longer with us due to some unfortunate domestic violence. But she was one of the first people that met through the state council. And just, it was one of those where you just hit it off with somebody, and you could just call that person up at any time and say, hey, I got this issue, can you help me out? Especially when you're new into the HR world. It's like, I don't understand this. Can you help me with this? And completely helped me. We became almost the best of friends.
Awesome.
And it still hits you every once in a while, but it's like, you know what? I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for a lot of what she helped me through.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
John, who's one person you gained in your network in the last year that you think more people should know?
Nothing against you two. Okay.
You've known us longer than a year.
This is your podcast, but I'm going to say John Baldino.
Oh.
I really think, because North Dakota doesn't know a lot of people from Philadelphia, except Carson Wentz.
Right.
Now, so there's that. But I think he's... I think he's one that everybody needs to know. He's just, plus his name's John. So we're kind of a three-headed monster when the three of us are together, but I think he has a lot of passion, and a lot of passion for his job, for the people, and anybody else that he comes near. So I hope it really comes out in his presentation today, which I'm sure it will.
Yeah, we will be definitely tweeting a lot from that, for sure.
I don't even know if I will. I think I'm just going to be too engaged in that. Yeah.
Oh,
that I might not be able to.
Well, you can follow. That's how I engage.
I might just retweet everything you're doing.
I need to keep my fingers busy. So, John, if you could go back to the start of your career, what's one piece of advice you would give yourself?
Well, it's funny because a part of that keynote presentation we had today, we had to write a letter to our children as if we're not going to be around anymore. And that's what was hard to do.
Yeah.
That was really hard to do. But it was some of those that said, take advantage of opportunities when they're present. Don't be afraid to take that step. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. It's all that. Opportunities are out there. People are presenting them with you. At least listen. Mm-hmm. It doesn't mean you have to do it. You have the option to say yes or no. Just at least listen, because somebody's giving that opportunity for a reason. Because they're seeing something that you don't see in yourself. So I wish I would have done that a long time ago.
You need to put that out on like LinkedIn or something. Share that.
Well, I'm glad we have it recorded so we can remember what I just said.
Just play this for your children.
Yes.
John, obviously we've talked about being active with the state council and what you've done with the conference. How else do you enjoy giving back to the HR community?
Well, as I've mentioned to both of you, I do adjunct instructing over at the University of North Dakota, so students have to come and listen to me. If they want to get a grade, they have to come to class. And it's talking about these things all the time. So we're going to talk about the book, and we're going to learn the things that are in there, but let's see how we can relate that to what John, friend, actually does at work on a daily basis and bring the real world in there. I was just telling somebody out there in the vendor show, I said, there's this person, all former students. That was never anything that we had seen that much in the past. That many former students are now at the conference. They listened. So it's really fun to see. It's a proud parent moment for me is what it is, because I tell them, I said, I'm going to be that parent that you might not have here because you're not from here. Here's your opportunity.
Oh, that's nice.
So I like giving back to the students and showing them. I mean, I'm past my prime at this point, What I tell the students, it says, you know what? I'm going to lead first and you're going to follow me. And then eventually I'm going to pull you up right next to me and we're going to walk side by side. We're going to show people we're a team, that they can't go to you or they can't come to me. And then eventually I'm going to stop and I'm going to let you just kind of walk ahead a little bit because I have the confidence in you to go off. So that's what I like to tell the students, honestly.
I like that a lot. All right, so John, these next three questions are consistently the hardest. From what I've heard from everyone tells us, these are the hardest questions we ask.
Okay.
Favorite movie?
Yeah, see, because you're putting people on the spot. That's what it is. I mean, you can sit there and go, well, yesterday I saw this, but I really like this. I'm kind of a Christmas freak, and there's some people that will tell you, it's like, yeah, you're a little out there. I got a llama Christmas sweater. I got a hat. Every day I'll wear something to work.
Nice.
And that, there's people, just met somebody last week. I remember you had the llama sweater. Yes. You're fun. You're welcome. So I'm going to go with Christmas movies. I like Elf.
Okay.
I like Elf a lot. And, Christmas Vacation are kind of the two that I could watch.
Vacation.
High five.
Yeah.
But we could, I could watch that now. I could watch it in July because it comes on.
It does.
It does.
Love it.
So you answered that pretty easily. How about your favorite musician or band?
My favorite? Can I give you like a top 4?
Sure.
So I like Skillet, Hailstorm, and Shinedown are my 3 that I like to do. And then there's like a genre of the 80s hair bands. Doesn't really matter what it is for the most part, just those 80s hair bands.
80 hair band.
That's where I would go with that.
It's one that my husband loves to play the Name That Tune, and he'll start pulling them up on YouTube or on iTunes. Okay, what's this one? I'm like, it's an 80s hair band. They kind of all blend together at some point.
That's a fact. That is a fact.
How about a favorite TV show?
Oof. See, that's a good one.
I told you, these are the hardest questions you're ever going to answer.
It seems like every time you like one, it goes away.
True.
We've talked a lot about laughing. I think we heard that a lot. That's probably some of the better exercise you can get, which means I exercise all the time. One that I'll tend to watch where my family gets crazy is either Impractical Jokers or Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Oh, good shows.
They're all for the most part reruns and stuff, but I've actually seen both of those acts live as well.
Nice.
We tend to do those things at home once in a while. We got one of my sons I go, hey, dare you to do that? Okay. Going through the Kmart airport and they got the little paths that you can go, the walkways.
Yeah.
I go, reach your hand out there, see if you can get a high five. He's leaning over trying to get a high five and he goes, they didn't do it. I go, then you lose.
Well, John, you answered those questions, I'd say, rather easily.
Yeah.
Christmas genre, I've said on this show before, Christmas Story is my favorite movie ever made, period. Doesn't matter what it is. And then we've talked hair metal and we talked Steel Panther, so
there's that one.
We have that going for us. If you're not watching those Christmas movies, if you're not listening to the 4 types of music that you talked about, and you're not watching those shows that make you laugh, what else do you like to do outside of work?
Well, the typical answers like to hang out with my family and stuff like that. I like to travel, and I think that's what you can do with conferences. Sometimes you can go travel and see another community, find another college shirt, something like that. So that's something that I told my wife, this is going to be your Christmas present every year, is that we're going to go on a trip. The present is where it's going to be. I'm just going to pick something we've never done.
Oh, fun.
So to me, that's what it is. I want to do it now while I'm still able to move at a decent pace. Right. Not be the ones, can you move and get out of my way? No, I'm here. I'm going. So
this is where I'm...
Honestly, it's that, and I like to go to sporting events. Most of the time, it doesn't matter which team. We talked about the one already, but I'll go to just about any sporting event if it's baseball, football, or hockey.
Awesome.
And we should talk about the fact, because I think people that know you certainly know this, you have quadruplets. Which is
That's the rumor that I hear,
I don't know if I know any other HR practitioners that have. I'm not saying they don't. I don't think we know anybody.
I don't know anyone.
If you've met anybody in your travels that can...
No, there's some that have multiples. Sure. I've heard a few of those, but no, I have 2 boys, 2 girls, and they're all 21.
It's awesome. No, I know twins.
And literally
I know
on the payroll.
And literally on
the payroll.
Yes, that's awesome.
Yes.
That's awesome. All right, John. So if you weren't in the HR profession, if they hadn't handed you $7,000 more a year, what do you think you'd be doing professionally?
What would I be doing, or what's the dream job?
What's the dream? What's the dream job? What would you?
I like music a lot. I'm just not musically gifted at all whatsoever, unless I'm in the car with the windows up, sometimes down, and singing until you can't talk anymore. And it's like, why are you sick again? I was just singing in the car, pulling the vocal cords, trying to hit those high notes by Sebastian Bach or something from Skid Row. I can't hit those notes, just so you know. Yeah, so I just really like that industry, and I like to have fun with that, so it's a different life, but it could be fun.
It could be fun.
There's a lot of challenges in the music industry as somebody that's peripherally on the edge and has friends in it. It's a challenge. All of us have challenges, though, and as we always say, we're glad you're not doing those things, because if you weren't, we certainly probably wouldn't know you, and we certainly wouldn't be sitting in a conference room in Grand Forks, North Dakota, at a conference that you were kind enough to invite us to. So we're really glad we were able to make this happen, and I appreciate your flexibility and just, hey, look, can we set this up and surprise and put the microphone down and do it? I'm sure there are at least some of those listeners out there that may not know you and aren't in connection with you. What's the best way for them to reach you out there on social media?
For the most part, I'm on Facebook, Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn, but again, that's more the professional one where you just feel like you just have to have an account, and then we'll see what happens. But Facebook is probably the one I use the most. I am on Instagram too. Those accounts are John Friends and then the number 4, but not the hashtag. So just John Friends
4.
And a 4.
Okay.
We will have that in the show notes.
Yes.
Wendy, how about you? For those listeners out there that aren't in touch, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Yeah, best way is always my blog, mydailyjourney.com. Daily is D as in dog, AILEY. And of course, fourth Sunday of each month, you will find me on Twitter as part of our monthly Twitter chat, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, fourth Sunday of each month. How about you, John?
I want to take one more opportunity to thank Balance Track for taking part for the month of October. Again, Manoj, Carla, and all those folks involved. Really appreciate you being part of our community and taking part in the podcast and in the chat. As far as reaching me, if you go to hrsocialhourpodcast.podbean.com, click on the top 3 lines on the left-hand side of the screen. That'll open up. You'll see all my social accounts there. And while you're there, download some other shows that maybe you haven't heard. If you've listened to them all, we appreciate that. And we'd ask that you rate, review, and share. Whatever you can do to help us boost the signal, we really appreciate. So, again, John, thanks for being with us. And so for the HR Social Hour Half Hour Podcast, I'm John.
And I'm Wendy. And as always, be sure to connect,
Give back, and
network.
Take care, everybody.
We'll see you soon.